For years, there's been this one question hanging over one of the world's most famous families. It sparked endless speculation and has literally fueled a massive media conspiracy theory. So in this explainer, we're going to dive deep and try to unravel every single piece of the mystery surrounding Khloé Kardashian's paternity. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? This debate has been raging for more than a decade now, and it's been fed by whispers, crazy tabloid stories, and yeah, even comments from inside the family circle itself. So how on earth did this all get started? Well, it basically comes down to two key ingredients. Think of it like a recipe for a conspiracy theory. First, you have Kris Jenner, who openly admitted in her own memoir that she had an affair while she was married to Robert Kardashian, an affair that led to their divorce. And second, for years, even Khloé herself has joked about how different she looks from her sisters, Kim and Kourtney. She's taller, her hair's lighter, her features are just different. Those two facts created the absolute perfect storm for a theory that just refuses to go away. And that brings us to the first major person of interest in this whole mystery. He's a figure whose connection to the Kardashians is, well, as famous as it is infamous. OJ Simpson. So you might be wondering, how did this specific theory get so much traction? Well, these two families were incredibly close. Robert Kardashian and OJ had been best friends since college. The rumor mill really kicked into high gear when OJ's old manager made this wild claim about a hot tub encounter. And these rumors, they came roaring back after Simpson passed away, with people just flooding Khloé's social media. Okay, but what did OJ himself have to say about all this? Well, back in 2022, he was on a podcast, and they asked him about it directly. He was pretty clear. He said he was never even attracted to Kris, and that while she was a cute girl, he was dating supermodels back then. It was a complete, flat-out denial. And Kris Jenner? Yep, she was on the exact same page. She called that story from the manager totally fabricated, something he just made up. So from the two people right at the center of this particular rumor, we have two very clear, very public denials. All right, so if not OJ, then who else? This is where the investigation shifts to a man who was way closer to Kris Jenner's daily life, her personal hairstylist, Alex Roldan. Now, the case for Alex Roldan is almost all visual, but for a lot of people, it is really compelling. Fans are constantly putting photos of them side by side, pointing out similarities in their features. And then you have the middle name, Alexandra. Is it just a coincidence? Maybe. But then you hear the tabloid rumors about a multi-million-dollar NDA to keep him quiet, plus the fact that he's still in the family's orbit, and the whole theory just takes on a life of its own. And get this, the family themselves kind of threw gasoline on this fire. Kylie Jenner once posted this photo of Khloé and Alex with that bombshell caption. Now, she did walk it back pretty fast, saying it was just a joke, but for a lot of people, the damage was done. It felt like one of those Freudian slips, like a little bit of truth disguised as a joke. But this is where the story goes from just internet speculation to something way more serious and complicated. We're moving from public rumors to actual claims that Robert Kardashian himself knew Khloé wasn't his biological child. You really have to look at the timeline here to see how this all snowballed. It starts with the divorce. Years go by, Robert passes away. Then, Kris writes her memoir and confirms the affair, which just opens the door for all the speculation. But the real bombshells came after that, when Robert Kardashian's other wives, Jana Ashley and Ellen Kardashian, both came forward saying that Robert had told them about his doubts before he died. And this is probably the most heartbreaking part of the whole story. According to Ellen Kardashian, Robert might have had his doubts, and, who wouldn't in that situation? But his love for Khloé was absolute. He raised her as his daughter, and the idea of a DNA test was just never, ever going to happen, because to him, she was his daughter. End of story. So with all of this swirling around, the public rumors, the tabloid stories, the claims from her stepmothers, it was really only a matter of time before it all reached a boiling point, and the family had to deal with it head-on, on camera. And where did it happen? Of course, season 7 of their reality show. What had been this background whisper campaign for years suddenly became the main storyline of an episode, and it led to one of the most raw and emotional fights in the show's entire history. So, on the show, you see Kris really pushing Khloé to take a DNA test. Her argument was pretty simple. Let's just do this, get the result, and shut down all the noise and the negativity for good. She was framing it as a way to protect Khloé from all the public attacks. But Khloé saw it completely differently. She pushed back, and not just at her mom for even suggesting the test. For her, the real problem wasn't some old rumors. It was the two women who came forward after her dad was gone, speaking for a man who couldn't speak for himself anymore. And that was her final powerful stand. She refused the test. For Khloé, family isn't about genetics. It's about love. It's about commitment. She had Robert Kardashian, and then she had Caitlyn Jenner. In her mind, she had two incredible fathers, and no piece of paper from a lab was ever going to change that for her. So, after all of that drama, all the accusations, all the denials, where does that leave us? Well, funnily enough, it leaves us pretty much right back where we started. So let's just recap where things stand. The main people accused have either flat out denied it or stayed completely silent. All the so-called evidence is circumstantial. It's based on looks, secondhand stories, and jokes that can't be proven. And the one thing that could solve it all, a DNA test, is totally off the table. The truth, whatever it might be, is still a family secret. And, that really leaves us with a final and maybe a much bigger question. This whole saga goes beyond just celebrity gossip. It really makes us ask, what truly defines a family? If Robert Kardashian loved and raised Khloé as his own, with all of his heart, does the biology even matter? That's something to think about.